So business is up. People are ringing up more sales than they ever have before, restaurants and hotels across the state. But I hear a lot of challenges from business owners who I deal with primarily. And I think the biggest concern that we are experiencing right now is the worker shortage that several others have touched on. And the manifestation of that is that we are not back at where we ought to be. So we can go back and look at pre-COVID levels, but we're not, even though we may be up, we haven't realized where we could be, the art of what's possible. And that's because restaurants across the state are closing 2 or 3 days a week where they used to be open and closed
Right.
1 day a week. And so, what if they could be open full time? We have many hotels in the state that have had to take rooms out of inventory because they don't have workers to service those rooms. I know of a particular hotel that has 100 rooms out of inventory today. They're more profitable without those 100 rooms, but what if they could operate at full capacity? What if they had that workforce to fill those rooms?
In Pinehurst, at the end of September or through September, we would have recorded 19 straight months of record occupancy tax increase in collections. 19 straight months of records. And we had our first $3 million. Sounds like it's a small amount, but for us it's a large amount. $3 million for the first time ever in collections this last fiscal year, after we just recorded our first $2 million year. So coming back out of the pandemic, we're seeing increase in occupancy. Our ADR, as you mentioned, it's doubled in the last year. So that's been a big influence on the occupancy tax collections. Plus Pinehurst Resort, they have about they account for about half the occupancy tax and about 85% of the meeting space. So they were 55% business, 45% leisure basically before the pandemic. And now they're about 65% leisure. And even my board chairman, Tom Pashley, who's the president of the resort, said, maybe we've missed this all along. We're concentrating more on leisure right now. The leisure demand is huge. So it creates an interesting dilemma for them, because when you have so many groups who want to come in and get a negotiated rate, they're getting full rate for hotel, for golf, for spa, for everything. So right now they're just riding the wave, and the destination's riding the wave because rising tide floats all boats.
From the state, now we increased employment in what we consider tourism jobs 10% this year. That's still down 18% from where we were in 2019. So even though it's coming back, the spending's come back, but the employment just hasn't come back.
And it's frustrating.
It is frustrating. And the Department of Commerce just came out with a study why people aren't coming back to employment in restaurants, and it shows that we really need about 56,000 more jobs. It projected on that growth curve that we're on with the new restaurants and hotels. So we're down 10%, but we need many more than that to service.
That's just to get us back to where we were.
Yeah.
As Lynn said, we should be looking above where we were, not back to where
because
we
we've
were.
opened new restaurants and new hotels.
And you also have to build a pipeline, and I think that's the
That's
challenge too. We know that there's a whole generation of people who will be moving out of the workforce, and so cultivating that pipeline and inspiring young people early on, to look at that pathway as a career opportunity. I think that we've recognized that we're doing more in that space as well, because it's a must for this industry and for us to thrive.
I think the biggest change for us is we used to be data collectors. We were collecting when is the business open, what's their phone number, what are their hours, and now we're content distributors because they can get that data without us now. So now our focus really is on content
Storytelling.
and inspiration.
That's what I was
It's
going
on
to say.
storytelling.
Storytelling. Big part of it.
That is the crux, and it weaves through everything we do in the marketing space, whether it's paid advertising, whether it's our owned websites and earned spaces, or whether it's through our media relations outreach. It's critical to be able to, and that's the opportunity too, for us as we look at those pillars, to be able to tell those stories in a way that really is also helping our community, helping the businesses in our community, helping support Black-owned businesses, LGBTQ-owned businesses, but ensuring those stories are spread because they look to us for, as you indicated, as being the distributors of those stories.
Well, I'll just step up and say that the pandemic was really hard on our industry in ways that we would never have known or understood prior to living through this. But I will say that I was really proud in North Carolina that policymakers on both sides of the aisle stepped up to help us, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. During it all, we had the governor in daily we were in daily communication We were in daily communication with members of our House and Senate leadership and rank and file members from all over the state who were concerned about business owners, from our members of Congress. And I think that really helped us in a way in North Carolina that when I talked to my colleagues around the country, they didn't have that.
Understanding the vitality and the vibrance and the positives that tourism and hospitality brings to the resident, to the corporations, to all the residents throughout the state, is from tax benefits, from employment, and just general awareness of how great the state is such a plus. And I still think that the tourism industry is still missed the vitality of what it does, the economic importance, the impact that it actually generates. It's still a little bit under the radar in terms of the economic impact and generation that it brings.
It's remarkable, though. I think for like 30 years we've been trying to tell people, if you didn't have tourism, this is what life would be like. Right. And we never really had an example. Well, COVID showed us if you didn't have tourism, what life was like. And I don't think anybody liked it.
Right.
In terms of, what we want people to remember is tourism is a force for good. I feel like there's stories in every destination, no matter how small, no matter how large. It's just a matter of teasing those out and be able to share them and inspire other people to come and take part in those.
That's one of the reasons we actually advertise with Business NC is it's again a multifaceted advantage that we're getting to the meeting and convention planner, we hope, the C-suite decision maker, but it also sets up Winston-Salem as a place where you might want to bring your business and relocate or retire.